Picture this. The Bucks flame out again. 34-year-old Dame loses a step. 33-year-old Khris Middleton can't stay healthy. 36-year-old Brook Lopez looks washed. Giannis looking around doesn't see a championship contender anymore. He packs his bags to come play with Steph Curry in the Bay. Hey, a man can dream, right? What's good, y'all? So in this video, we're going to break down a recent reports linking Giannis to the Warriors. Let's get to it. NBA insider Sam Amick had this to say about Giannis to the Warriors. Although unlikely, Giannis to Golden State next offseason is something worth monitoring. One that I think is just always going to be monitored around the NBA is if the wheels fall off on the Bucks. Amick said, "We know that Joe Lacob has had dreams about Giannis coming to the Warriors for a very long time. Again, unlikely, but Khris Middleton is going to be a free agent next summer. I think Giannis is worth monitoring." So there you have it. It's nothing concrete, but it is something interesting to take note of. That Bucks team is old, bro. Giannis at 29 is still in his prime. But you got Dame at 34, and he didn't look too good last season. Now, he was dealing with a lot of stuff. He was going through a divorce, and he was getting incorporated into a new system. So obviously, that's a lot going on that can contribute to his struggles. But again, he is 34, and not everybody's Steph Curry. Maybe Dame's struggles last season was due to injuries and other circumstances. Maybe it's just because he's old. But you also got 36 going on 37-year-old Brook Lopez, who's a 7-footer. At his age, he could fall off a cliff at any moment. And then you got Khris Middleton going on 34, who's never healthy. And with him being a year older, I have no reason to believe he's going to be healthier this season. This is a make or break year for the Bucks. They traded Jrue Holiday for Dame. If they don't get it done next season, I can see Giannis looking around like, yo, bro, like, what you want to do? Dame was supposed to be the move that puts him over the top. But based off last season, I'm not too sure about that. Bucks core is extremely old and fragile, and one injury to any of those core players and they're done. Now, obviously, you can say that about almost any team, but with the Bucks' entire core either being old, injury prone, or both, the likelihood just goes up that much more. And to top it all off, they really have no way to improve the team. They use a lot of their ammo to bring in Dame, and their payroll's getting up there. Speaking of payroll, are we sure they're going to re-sign Khris Middleton? Are we sure they're going to want to pay Khris Middleton what he's going to command as a free agent? Because I don't think they will. Now, I could be wrong, but if they just let Khris Middleton walk, I'm pretty sure it doesn't open up any additional cap space for them to use. So they're pretty much locked into this team. And if they let Khris Middleton walk in fear of getting locked into a terrible contract, they don't have any avenues to replace him. So with all that being said, if they go out sorry this season, they don't even sniff the finals, hey man, I think Giannis might be looking elsewhere. And what better place to look than in the Bay with Wardell, Steph, and Curry. Now, before we fire up that trade machine, because you know I had to, let's look at how this will benefit Giannis. First and foremost, Giannis is the most dominant rim scorer in the league, one of the greatest all time actually, and probably the most dominant since Shaq. Pairing that level of interior dominance with Wardell, Steph, and Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, the most lethal perimeter scorer we've ever seen, next to Giannis when he's breaking the paint. Yo, that might be game breaking. That would be the most disgusting driving kick game we've ever seen. Giannis getting downhill with a full head of steam. He got Steph Curry to kick out to. Come on, bro. Now let me tell y'all something. Here's the difference between playing with Dame Lillard and playing with Steph Curry. When Dame's off ball, he stops moving. He's not gonna cut. He's not gonna move off ball. He's not gonna come off screens. When Steph Curry's off ball, he's running around the court like a crackhead, bro. Like, he's literally just nonstop. Just dude got 99 stamina and running around like Jerry Rice, bro. Like, it's honestly kind of crazy. I think that's the biggest thing people got confused when they compare Dame and Steph. They think, oh, they're both dominant outside shooters. Dame is just as good as Steph. He's just different circumstances. But they're the same player. If you put Dame next to Giannis, it's the same formula as Steph next to Giannis. Nah, bro. Dame is actually a terrible off-ball player. Meanwhile, Steph is the greatest of all time. Dame is an all-time three-point shooter. Steph is the greatest of all time. Dame obviously has trouble playing next to another dominant scorer. Steph is the most unselfish superstar of all time. Steph's already proven he can share touches with KD and seemingly switch from first to second option at will. It's just no comparison, bro. And that's why the Warriors is the best option for Giannis if he chooses to leave. If y'all thought Steph and KD was unstoppable, bro, y'all don't want to see Steph and Giannis. Their games complement each other perfectly. If you could build a co-star in a lab next to Giannis, it would literally be Steph Curry. If you could build a co-star in a lab for Steph Curry, it would literally be Giannis. I'm telling you, man, the league don't want to see it, and we're just one more Bucks flame out in the playoffs away from it being a possibility. Now let's get to the actual trade. What would the Warriors have to give up? Well, unfortunately, everything. So check it out. When the Bucks made their move for Dame last season, Giannis signed that extension. So if I remember correctly, I believe he's under contract for another 3 seasons, which means the Bucks have the leverage because they don't have to trade him right now. Even if Giannis demands a trade, technically, the Bucks can just be like, oh well, you're in a contract for another 3 more seasons. We'll see you in training camp, bucko. So yeah, a lot will have to go the Warriors' way. But with Giannis being the greatest player in their franchise history, after winning them a chip, I would assume they would want to do right by him. So let's just say for the sake of this video, Giannis demands a trade only to the Warriors. So now the question is, what do the Warriors have to give up? I mean, it's still going to be everything. You know what? Let's just fire up the trade machine. So the trade will look something like this. Giannis, Bobby Portis, and DeLon Wright for Andrew Wiggins, Gary Payton, Kyle Anderson, Kevon Looney, Jonathan Kuminga, and Brandon Podziemski. So essentially, the only young players the Warriors will be able to keep is Moses Moody and TJD. Yes, you're giving up Kuminga and Pods. Like, this is Giannis, bro. Like, we're not about to do this tit for tat. Like, they're both gone for Giannis, bro. Like, it is what it is. As much as I love both those young dudes, if Giannis is on a table and he wants to come to the Warriors in the prime of his career still, at age 29, and it's a possibility, there's no player on this roster that can hold up this trade. For the opportunity to pair Giannis with Steph in the Bay, anybody can go. You also get veterans DeLon Wright and Bobby Portis back. Bobby Portis is your stretch big to play next to Giannis and Draymond in different lineups. DeLon Wright's a 6'5" defensive point guard that can guard multiple positions. You also lose Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, GP2, and Kuminga. So your wing rotation is basically destroyed. But let's check out this depth chart after the trade. So you got Steph Curry, D'Anthony Melton at the 2, Moses Moody at the 3. You got Giannis at the 4. And in this depth chart, I got Bobby Portis starting at the 5 and Draymond coming off the bench. So the bench would be DeLon Wright at point, Buddy Hield at the 2, Guy Santos at the 3, Draymond at the 4, and TJD at the 5. So as you can see, even though this is a 6-for-3 trade, the Warriors are still like 8 deep. Curry, Melton, Moody, Giannis, Portis, Draymond, TJD, Buddy Hield, and DeLon Wright. And you can still make additional trades after this. Perimeter defense is basically all on D'Anthony Melton's shoulders. You're also going to have to bank on Moses Moody in year 4 to step up as a 3-and-D wing. I think with more opportunity, he can do it. Playing off of Steph and Giannis, Melton, Moody, and Portis are going to have wide open threes all game. Bobby Portis is a stretch 5 next to Giannis. Giannis is really your defensive anchor defensively, while Portis spreads the floor on offense. Off the bench, you got a defensive-minded point guard in DeLon Wright that has size that can play next to Steph in certain lineups. You also got Buddy Hield that you can play next to Steph with Giannis if you want to get more shoot on the court. I think the combination of Guy Santos and Daquan Plowden as your backup wings off the bench, not great. You might have to make a trade to get somebody else in there. You basically got Draymond as your 6th man that brings energy off the bench. Draymond and TJD defensively off the bench gives you some backbone defensively when Giannis is off the court. You got 3 defensive-minded bigs in Giannis, Draymond, and TJD, and 2 offensive bigs in Giannis, Bobby Portis, and also a little bit of TJD. You still need to keep Quentin Post, who's a 7-foot sharpshooter, so you're hoping he could be solid playing next to Giannis. So you're basically trading a solid wing rotation for an elite front court rotation. I mean, a Giannis, Draymond, Bobby Portis, TJD front court, that's pretty nasty, bro. That's a lot of dog, that's a lot of rebounding, that's a lot of ruggedness, that's a lot of scoring. I like that. With this shift in roster construction, the Warriors' offense will look a lot different. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Steph is still gonna do him. He's still gonna get his. He's still gonna have his 2-man game with Draymond. But now he's gonna have Giannis as a pick-and-roll partner. A Steph Curry-Giannis pick-and-roll combination. That's nasty, bro. How do you guard that? Imagine Steph's on a heater, and teams now have to sell out on him. All right, now just gonna dump it down to Giannis for a little pocket pass getting downhill. It's a dunk or a foul and 1 every single time. All right, let's say Giannis is having his way and he's getting to the rim at will. Now teams gotta build a wall. Now they gotta take away resources defensively from the perimeter in order to load up in the paint. All right, that just means there's less attention dedicated to Steph defensively. Either way the defense tries to play it, they're gonna get destroyed. The most unstoppable downhill force, next to the greatest shooter of all time. Come on, bro. Honestly, I'd make this trade in a heartbeat. It would suck to see Kuminga and Podziemski go, but come on, bro. We're talking about pairing Giannis with Steph, bro. I think this trade would firmly put the Warriors in championship talks for at least another 4 years. And if Curry and Giannis get into a playoff series, both healthy, what team is guarding them? What team is beating them? What scheme could you conjure up as a coach that's going to hold down Steph and Giannis for the entire series? One of them is getting off. If you could somehow apply enough resources defensively to try to hold down one of them, and one of them has an off series, the other one's going crazy. If you sell on Steph, Giannis is going for 50. If you sell it on Giannis, Steph is going for 50. Pick your poison. Now, I know Giannis to the Warriors is a long shot, but hey, man, it's the off season. I figure why not have fun with it. But anyways, that's all I got for y'all. If I entertained you or you learned something new, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.